Hey, everybody. Dr. Angela Shuttlesworth here, and we are going to kick off our 4-part series of you taking the beautiful journey of discovering your power. As you all know, we are in the Entrepreneur's Classroom, where I am crazy excited to be here with you all, coming to you all from sunny Florida. I wanted to make sure that I had some palm trees in the background so you all can get a little jealous, and then so I can be reminded of how awesome this journey is. And I'm going to give you all a warning. In case it starts raining, I'll have to shift and transition to inside. So hopefully, as you all join in or catch the replay, be sure to, in the comments area, write in and tell me where you all are coming from, and what are you expecting to get as we go on this journey of you being able to discover your power. And I see that a few of you all are jumping in. Hey Irene, thanks for joining in. And today's date, we're going to do a 4-part series, as I said a few seconds ago, and today is all about power, and just really giving us the space and permission to redefine what power means for us. And then, as you all know, I just did a masterclass a few days ago and last week that was on to discover your power by rediscovering your voice. So the second week, we'll be talking all about your voice. The next week after that is around choice and the choices that we make that help us to be our most powerful selves. And then lastly, we'll wrap up with how to maintain your power. And they're all practical tools, as I call them, power strategies that will help you on your journey. All right. Hey, Veronica. Thanks for joining me. I want to go ahead and get us started. So I see we have 4 people on the line. I want to, ask you, how do you define power? So if I was to say, if you were thinking of, what I feel most powerful when I am this, what does power look like for you? Go ahead and give me what your example is in the comment section. And a lot of times people say, oh, I feel powerful when I have control, or some people it may be when they're making money. Okay, I love that. You say when you have freedom. Yes, that is why I'm on this journey. And I know a lot of us, for us, as entrepreneurs, we're choosing to be on this journey so that we can have and maintain that element of freedom. I love it. Yes. And so I'm going to use a couple of examples that I have heard as I've done this work as well. And as I told you, access. And we know that is something that's very huge. Hey, Sharita, thanks for joining in. You say, when my choice leads my life. Oh, I love that. So we're talking about, Sharita, thanks for joining in. We're talking about what does power mean to you? I want to always start out with kind of understanding what your thoughts are as it relates to power and how you define it. And what does that look like for you? And so we've got freedom, we've got when my choice leads my life, and I've talked about access. And one of the things that we always talk about, I'll say, is loyalty. Ironically, when people are in a position of power, you just all of a sudden have all of these people who are around you because they want what you have. We are attracted to people who have power. We see it as something that, and unfortunately, sometimes people equate height with power, right? Or if you have a certain image that, that you come across as being more powerful. Because people say if you look to par, that they can go ahead and come behind you. You're going to give access to them, right? Am I the only one who's heard these things? I know I'm not. And unfortunately, sometimes fortunately, because it gets us to show up as our best self. But you think about it, and we see now this huge wave of everyone in the world of entrepreneurship doing these photo shoots and doing all of these things that hopefully will give them access to clients, which set them apart to be a little bit more powerful. Now, I just took my photo shoot not a couple of weeks ago, so I am all for it. Now, you want to make sure that however you're getting that power, it's true to who you are, right? And it's in alignment with the message that you want to be. Now, I am very clear of, I intentionally did not wear makeup in my photo shoot because I just don't wear makeup, right? So I didn't want to have all of these photos that were out there that were representative of something that's not me. So otherwise, then that power that I was getting and the way that people were accessing me wouldn't have been true to who I am. Now, my goal is always to help leaders to show up and show out in every aspect of their life. And how do we do that? By being in alignment, by understanding who we are, knowing what we represent, knowing what's true to us, And some people use the word being unapologetic with it, right? Now, being unapologetic doesn't necessarily mean that I have a lack of regard for other people. That's not what you all mean, right? You care about the journey of others, and you care about what their experience is as they access you and the power that you bring. So I want to talk about what power is. So you all have given some definitions of power, which I think are amazing. And I want to simplify it for you a bit. So in Be.Lead.Grow, which is the name of my business, and it's Be.Lead.Grow.com, where I help leaders to be their most authentic self, right? And to walk in alignment with who they are. When we talk about leadership, we're redefining it. And, it's so interesting. I am very clear about working with executives. And hey, Veneer, thanks for joining in. And when we talk about leadership, I was so surprised and grateful that so many entrepreneurs finally saw themselves in a position of realizing that they are leaders. And that everything that you do, every time that you show up, is an element of leadership, right? And then when 90-something% of my clients ended up being entrepreneurs, I was like, oh, okay, I love it. Because I want to make sure that you are able to be your best self as you are out here developing services and serving your clients and the way that you're leading, making sure that it's authentic to who you are. Leadership for me will never be cold and so angry. I believe in vulnerability and joy. So we're going to be talking about that as well. And then growth. Right? Be, lead, and grow. How are you growing? What does innovation look like? How do you involve your creativity? All of that is important into your ability to be, lead, and grow. So with Be, Lead, Grow, we have a very simple definition for power. And that is voice plus choice equals power. Very simple. So how you choose to use your voice every time that you use your voice, when you don't use your voice, and you couple it with the choices that you're making, that is your example of how you choose to use your power. You say, yes, that's so necessary. We need more great leaders. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's so interesting. People always ask me about, who are my favorite leaders, or who do I see, right now as being an example of the leadership that I believe in. And I always stop people and say, it doesn't have to be this person that's on this high pedestal. I'm like, who are the people that you look up to? Who is it in your place of employment? If you're still working, some of us are, not myself, I'm currently, on my own, but some people are parallelpreneurs. So in the workplace, who's that person that you look up to, and what are the things about them that you value? So let's talk about those people, right, that you see on a daily basis. Who in your family are able to get people around a table and to compromise, to understand what it's like to find resolve. That is leadership. And of course, we want to also recognize those who are in this entrepreneurship journey with us that have the way to captivate us with their words, but most of all with their example, with how they're representing not only their brand, but they're using their voice. They make the choice to be consistent, and they have thus gained a powerful influence because they have people who are showing up because they have something that these people need. So they understand that power. So as you all are hearing that, if it's just that simple, if it's just my voice, this is just my choice, that's my power. Does that shift anything in you all's thinking? Does that have any of an influence in how you all view power? If you can go ahead and comment that below. Oftentimes people say, I saw it as something that was so major, and it's something that I ran from. That's something that I've heard before. And we see power as a bad thing, where it's like, people who have power, they always are tainting it, so I don't want to have power. And I'm here to tell you that as an entrepreneur, you need it. We can't survive without having an element of power. And when we perfect and fine-tune how we use our voice. And so one of the things that I want to give you a little snippet into next week is understanding, how do you understand when it's really your voice? And I always like to talk about, when we're in the midst of so much chaos and so much that's going on, sometimes it's like, is this really my voice? Or is this my mother talking? Is this my boss's voice talking? I've lost sight of who I am because I'm so busy speaking for other people, or I'm so busy trying to speak in a way that I think they'll understand that I've lost sight of my own voice. So every time we lose sight of our voice, we lose sight of our power. Alrighty. Too often we don't use our voice or exercise the power of choice. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh no, I want some power now. I know that's right. Yes, yes. We not only want it, we need it. And that's the thing that, we talk about like it's something like there's something wrong with saying I need power. No, it's a beautiful thing because we're the people who understand how to nurture power, how to take the time to walk in our powerful selves, because we're not the people that are me being powerful doesn't take away the power of others. Me having power is going to ignite more power in other people, because that's the way I choose to ignite power, right? And that's the beautiful thing about this journey. And so when we're talking about the journey of your voice and understanding whose voice it is that you're speaking, understanding where your words have come from, understanding how do you cultivate your voice. How many of you have actually spent time thinking about, what are the words in which I like to speak, where if somebody hears that, they know that's Miss Pierre talking. I know that's her. You must have been talking to Miss George. That sounds just like her. Oh my goodness, that is Miss Richardson. That's gotta be her. That's gotta be Veronica. I've heard her say it before. And what are the consistent things that people equate to you? They're hearing the language. They understand it's coming from, again, something that ignites a power within them. So when we're talking about Benir's course the other day, when she talked about manifestation, if I hear something about manifestation and she gave us the different ways of what it looks like and shows like, and I'm like, oh, you must have been in the right classroom, right? So it brings a certain element of it that adds in additional power. You say I sound like your clients now. Awesome. Society who have been indoctrinated make you feel as if it is wrong because they themselves want it but are afraid. Wealthy, successful people know that you need power to make it, regardless of what kind of power it may be. Come on now, somebody. And it's so interesting. I love politics. I've grown in politics. My mother has worked in government for many, many years. And I was intentional, like, all politicians are liars. All people who are, in those positions of power, they use it for the wrong cause. So I intentionally ran from it. And so that is why I'm on this journey. As I said, I help leaders to accomplish their big goal. And so when we're talking about your big goal, I want you to think about when I talk about big. So remember, consistent language. For whenever you're hearing Dr. Angela Shuttlesworth or Be.Lead.Grow, when we talk about big, we're talking about big. And big is your bridge to your irrefutable greatness. There's that one thing that you need to do that will help to propel you from where you are to where you desire and deserve to be. And you think about that not only as an individual, but even as an entrepreneur. So what is it that you need? So for me, and I'll give you the example, I always, since a child, wanted to be a global citizen. I've said I'm going to live around the country. I'm going to do all of these things. Yes, Shawami, it's that big goal. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it, but I always got scared. I would even tie my goal and my desires to the relationships that I was in. So I would always ask guys on the first date, like, hey, have you considered, dating somebody overseas or me living overseas? And when they would say that, I'm like, yes, he's my pathway to getting there. But then when the relationships would not continue to be what they needed to be in order for me to get to where I needed to be, here I was again without my goal happening. I looked at them being the bridge to my irrefutable greatness, opposed to me seeing myself in the actions that I took. Going back to our definition of power, voice plus choice equals power. So I was using my voice to ask for that avenue, right? And I had this choice, but I was all wrapping it up into somebody else. But finally, at this point, I was a tenure track professor and was loving my students. You couldn't tell me nothing about my students. I love my babies. But there was a lot of things that just weren't in alignment. Remember, we just talked about recognizing when someone wants you to use a voice that you know is not yours. And I said, enough is enough. One of my quotes all the time is, your genius will make room for you. And when you trust and believe that your genius will make room for you, you're able and you're more equipped to use your voice and to make choices that influence the life that you desire to have. So you realize you always have power. So, needless to say, none of those relationships got me overseas. But in May of last year, I quit my job without a plan and just said, you know what, this isn't it. Thankfully, after that, I was able to have, you get paid through August. Amen, for benefits. And I talking to someone, again, using my voice, allowing people to be vulnerable, right, to the space of saying, I don't know. How often as entrepreneurs we feel like we have to know it all? You don't. And that's okay. The beauty is in knowing what you don't know. And sometimes we don't know that. But in our conversation, in our connection, in our choice to use our voice and to choose to align ourselves with other entrepreneurs that can put us in the place and in the position of power, gets us into the space that we want to be. So, in talking with another fellow leader, she said, have you heard of this group? I aligned with them and moved overseas. I sold everything. I used my voice and said, this is what I want to do. And I am willing to do and make the choice of saying, these things are not what's important to me. I know that there's something that's out there for me, and I'm willing to do what it takes to get there. And so I sold everything, and I moved over and lived in Czech Republic, in Prague. I've lived in Thailand, in Bangkok. I've lived in Chiang Mai. I lived in Abu Dhabi. And for 9 months, I just went around the world, just really aligning myself and getting to know and getting to see exactly what you're saying, what courage looks like in different ways and from different cultures. I got to see how beautiful it was for us to be able to use our voice, and how in many countries their voice is stifled. They don't have the opportunities that we have, and yet here we are with all the freedom in the world, and yet we're choosing not to show up. We're choosing to dim our lights, opposed to giving ourselves the ability to define and redefine what power looks like. But thankfully, for places like the Entrepreneurship Classroom, we're creating the space for us to cultivate that voice, for us to say, you know what, my voice may be a little weak today. However, I know when I'm listening to these courses, it's being strengthened every single time. I'm making better choices. I'm waking up every morning, looking at my intentions, aligning myself with my new affirming belief. I'm allowing myself to create this path that is for me. So we have to get to that space where the power that we want and that we need isn't out there. It may be connected to some quality relationships. Too bad my examples of the relationships that I had just weren't it. But in that instance, I want you to realize and acknowledge the power that you have. I mean, even from the time when you wake up in the morning, how do you start your day? For me, I'm very clear. I like to start my day with music. And so there's this Jennifer Hudson song, she says, whatever makes me happy, yeah, 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 yeah. And so every morning I want to remind myself that whatever makes me happy is important. It is at the forefront of my thoughts. It's the first thing that speaks into my mind that, you know what? My voice and my choice is my power. So therefore, whatever makes me happy has to be in alignment with the words that I speak. Every choice that I make has to be in alignment with whatever makes me happy. There has to be an interweaving dance and a good dance, right? A nice two-step that we want to think about with that. So what are some different things that you all do on a consistent basis that help you to honor your voice? I want to hear that from you all. And then we're going to talk about also how you make the decisions that you make. So how do you consistently use your powerful voice? Okay, we got a good one in here. We also have to overstand. Oh, that's the first chapter of my book. I love it. Overstand that everyone cannot be on the yacht. Come on, somebody. Some people are going to be left behind, not because you want to leave them, but you have to leave them because they are not in alignment with your life. Come on now. Whatever makes you happy. And if you're not bringing that energy that I need, that's going to help this boat stay light. Next thing you know, you got folk on the yacht that's sinking you. You didn't even know it. So I love it. So you have already said, I'm going to use my powerful choice to know and accept that. That was so hard for me because I felt like, and I remember calling home to my mother crying, like in tears, as saying that I felt bad that most of my friends had PhDs. She said, girl, if you don't get off my phone. But to me, I saw that as a bad thing, that I was starting to align myself with that. But I felt like I was leaving so many people behind. So what I did was I made an intentional effort to start looking at how my friends who may not have gone to college, but yet were still using their voice in beautiful ways. I started to find a way to connect to their power and to celebrate it and to continue to ignite a fire within them. So however they choose to shine, I'm going to help to make sure that their power becomes even more powerful. Meditation, journaling, setting healthy boundaries, saying no liberally. Oh, yes. What did we say the other day? My no is a complete sentence. That is one of the most beautiful things that you can use with your voice, is when you use it to set boundaries for yourself. I love that. And in meditation, oh my goodness. I have this conference we're going to use next week. And I'll go ahead and I can share some of it with you now, but it's called the catch and release process. So it's every time that we are in a space where we have a negative self-talk, right? As we know, in your voice, and we talked about meditation and manifestation, but a lot of it is tied to our mindset. And when we have those negative thoughts, and it's like generally we're just replacing those thoughts or having to reframe them to be what we need them to be, that stays in alignment with where we're going. But then I realized I don't have to, and of course we want to eventually get to the place where we have these powerful words, right? And we don't have to reframe them. But instead, I said, you know what? After my song and dance, I can go ahead and speak with intention, and I can be boldly and to use my voice intentionally, right? Before those negative thoughts come. So if I've set the stage for my success to use my voice in a way that benefits me, I'm in much more of a better place, right? So I'm going to read your comments, and then I'll give you the catch and release process, and that's definitely what I want to leave you with. So as to help you with your mindset until we get into next week, as it relates to how you use your voice and how you make choices to influence your power. Self-talk in my vehicle on my way to work and back home. That's powerful. Yes, yes. One of my good friends, he recorded his own voice saying certain phrases and intentions, and he uses his voice note to play over the speakers for him as he goes to and from work. So I think that's awesome. I use my voice and choice to mentor inmates. Oh my goodness, that's where I started out. My first job was working with sexual predators and murderers that were youthful offenders. And it was interesting. The most powerful thing I've ever gotten from a mentor was, and I shouldn't say that, but it was the most powerful to me, was he taught me that, and this is a little bit different, but it relates. But he said you have to learn to separate the crime from the inmate, and it helped me to keep them looking at them as a human being. And it was like I couldn't show up as a counselor, as a therapist, if I was only looking at them as being a murderer or a sexual offender. I would not be able to even think that they were worthy of mentorship. And so again, going back to our voice and choice, and if it's really my thought, is it really my voice that I'm using? Is that something that tells me that this person who I'm serving is worthy of my attention? Oh my goodness, that was powerful. Thanks for adding that. That was fire. My no is a complete sentence. Yes, that's it. Yes, sometimes you have to set the atmosphere for your words to have life. Come on, somebody. Good idea. Yes. Awesome. Alrighty, so let's go into the catch and release process. And when I talk about catch and release, it is, when you know that there is it's not something that's benefiting you. It's not making you happy. It is not serving you in the space where you know that it is your most powerful self, and it takes you from where you desire to be to where you want to be. And I'll go ahead and I'll show you all a beautiful little picture because I love this little boy. He's so cute. And let me see. I decree and declare the word over my life every morning. Oh, come on, somebody. I love it. Alrighty. And let's change the view of this. And I'll show you the cutie patootie. But this is There we go. It is this is a part of the Discover Your Power Masterclass that I just taught earlier on last week. And it's the catch and release power strategy. And we want to create a new normal. And the new normal that we're creating is magic. And I loved him and how he is obviously fascinating. But I want us to see our words and how every time we make use our voice, it's like a bubble. It's so beautiful. And we want our words to be just that, where others are even fascinated by it. But the way that you do this is I want you to acknowledge your thought and say, oh, did I think this? You know how they say think before you speak? Consider the source. Like we just said it a minute ago. Is this really my voice? Is this really the voice of my mother? Is this the voice of my pastor? Is this the voice that other people have told me I'm supposed to have? Or is this really in alignment with what I truly believe and what I deserve to experience? And then we want to identify the alignment or lack thereof. Is this in alignment with who I am? Is this thought? Are these words in alignment with me walking as my most powerful self? Is this thought, are these words in alignment with the values that I have for myself? Or are they not, right? And then thereafter, if they're not, we need to do two things. You can release with intention those words because you know that they're power, you know that they're in alignment, and they're good to go. Or we will release them with silence. And as you're going through and adopting this new process, I'm always reminding us to be gentle with ourselves because it's new. This is new language for some of us. Some of us, I am in the field of social work. So I am, I teach this. So cognitive behavioral therapy, if you've heard of that. It teaches us that, our thoughts and our behaviors help us to show up in that way. So in the same token, you want to have that mindset. But if we can catch it in our minds, and if we can catch it before we speak it, bless and believe, rest assured that we will change our behaviors and change the way that we show up. So that's what I have for you this week. And then next week, as I told you, we will be talking about the power of your voice extensively. This week was just really getting us to think about, how do we see power? And I just want to remind you that power does not equate to quality. So just because a person has power doesn't mean that they are walking in the level of quality that you would expect. It doesn't equate to excellence. But I am here to encourage you all to make sure that this week you walk in that power and authority that you not only have, but that you have the ability, every word you speak, every choice that you make. And in the instance that you would like to work with me further, or if you have any questions, I offer complimentary strategy sessions. As I said earlier, you can go to Be.Lead.Grow.com. That's Be.Lead.Grow, Be.Lead.Grow.com. And I would love to work with you all and just to help you and support you as a contribution to this group. And I look forward to us growing together and being the most powerful entrepreneurs that we can be. And I like to leave you with knowing that not only does the world deserve you at your best, but you deserve you at your best. And if you remember that and just show up for you, then everything else will take care of itself. So if you all have any other questions or anything else for me, I will definitely be coming back and looking at the comments and responding to you if you've caught this on a replay, or if you have any questions, we can keep the dialogue going because I'm here for that. Anything that helps us get our power, I'm here for it. So love and hugs, and definitely show up for you. You deserve you at your best. And as I told y'all, my goal is for you to show up and show out in every area of your life, and particularly as it relates to your life, your leadership, and your legacy. Again, I'm Dr. Angela Shuttlesworth. I have enjoyed our time together. Thanks so much for being on here with me, and I look forward to supporting you in your classes and seeing you all next week. Take care.